Guys, kind of a bittersweet day for me today. One of the benefactors of the New England Motorcycle Museum, Gerard, who's got about 10 bikes on display here, all diamonds, has to come up with some money. He's getting up there in years and wants to secure his financial future, so he chose the Gsx-R 1100 here, which is the nicest original one I've seen in decades. 100% original down to the exhaust, 12,500 original miles. It runs better than it looks. I just took it for a ride and I forgot how smooth and great these bikes are. I worked at the New England Cycle Center in 1987. I used to set these up out of the crate and take them for demo rides. It's a good thing I couldn't afford one back then, because of being a crazy kid, I would have killed myself. But most of these were trashed in racing or highly modified. I don't think I've ever seen one with a stock pipe before, not in this decade. Just absolutely spectacular. Born November of 1986. This is the blue and white Gsx-R Hyper Sports Gsx-R 1100. Brand new Michelin tires, carbs just redone. I'll go over the work order of what Gerard has done to it. It's been meticulously maintained and carefully ridden by an adult who owns some of the nicest super bikes I've ever seen. So trust me when I tell you, this is the first time ever since we opened the museum we had a Gsx-R 1100 this nice. Like I said, they're normally lipstick on a pig. To find an original this nice is absolutely unheard of. Do a walk around on it. Guys, I'm here with Bill Blythe, resident pro road racer here, a multi-time New England champion, also won the RZ Cup, 5-time Isle of Man legend in the sport. Anybody who's in the sport knows him. And he was racing when in 87, he was at the peak of his career. Tell us a little bit about the racing history of this bike, because this is right in your wheelhouse.
Oh, absolutely. This is an out-of-the-box race bike. It was a fantastic machine, well recognized, and Suzuki came up with an idea, a promotional program to get more sales. And a lot of racers bought these because they paid $1,500 to win a 10-lap race in a short circuit like Loudon, which is 1.6 miles.
In 87, that's like $5,000 in today's dollars.
Yeah, right.
That's real money. That's like you pay your mortgage money.
Right. And if you had two GSX-Rs, a 750 and an 1100, the potential was great for a really good weekend, you know, if you were to be a winner. The problem is, there were amateur racers, and professional money to amateur racers. There was a lot of reckless riding, a lot of guys maybe riding over their head a bit and stretching the limits, and there were accidents and crashes. One guy wound up in the pond at Loudon. He crashed off turn 3, Edgar Hinton, great guy, great rider. He wound up under his bike in the water. The corner worker saved him.
Oh my God.
He was going to drown. And he came out with broken bones, and it was just one after another all year long. But the success was in the hands of Doug Poland. He was the guy that drove around the country in his truck with 3 money bikes, the 1100, the 750, and a Yamaha. And he wound up winning everything, everywhere he went. He was a great one.
He was making 6 figures back then just on the amateur contingency program.
That's right. I think he made over $1 million that first year. So
that's insane.
That's incredible.
That's like real money.
Yeah, I know.
He went on to be, I think, did you say world champion?
World champion, yes. Yeah, he went overseas and became world champion. He had great sponsors and was an absolutely incredible rider, but he cut his teeth, or at least sort of cut his teeth on these.
So he was a privateer racing these, making that kind of money because of contingency. Now, you also said that when we were talking earlier, that they paid back to 10th place, which is unheard of, especially in amateur racing. Right. So you could, have your weekend paid for and maybe your bike payment if you came in the top 10. So that explains why everybody was riding over their head.
That's
and
right.
It also explains why we haven't seen a mint stock Gsx-R 1100 like this ever. Right. Well, the whole time we've been here at the New England Motorcycle, I've been here since 2011 at the museum in Kaplan Cycles. Like, it's coming up on 15 years. We have not had another stock one come in here like this. I mean, the first thing they would do is put a pipe on it, and what else? What were the mods?
Take off the air filters, that kind of stuff. Just make it breathe, and different brakes, maybe different wheels. These are drag raced. They're cut up for drag racing and road racing. They did everything well. This motorcycle was an absolute gem in design. And it was revolutionary with the perimeter frame, aluminum perimeter frame. Perfectly stiff for that giant motor in there, and as lightweight as it could possibly be.
Yeah, it's remarkable that they this one was spared the destiny of all the other ones. It's just unbelievable.
Right, it's got low mileage on it, and it's tight as a tiger. I just rode it over here from the other side, and wow, it feels like it wants to get out and run.
Yeah, I was amazed at the amount of torque it has riding up the road here at first, second, third, fourth gear. Just at like 4,000 or 5,000 RPM, the thing's pulling like a freight train. I don't think I got over 7,000 RPM, and it redlines at 10.5.
Yeah,
this thing's
this is
thoroughly competent machine.
Big Japanese muscle with a beautiful chassis. It was definitely changed the road racing world at the club level. And these were used in endurance racing. The U.S. endurance teams. In fact, one of my mechanics had to put new cases in one of his engines because they took it apart so many times during the year to refresh, make sure everything was okay, to make the 24-hour races. They rode 6 hours and 24-hour races on these.
That's intense. Like tracks like Daytona where you're really beating on the motor on the straightaways.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, there were 3 or 4 tracks around the country that had 24-hour races. One of them was Nelson Ledges. And I understand it was a very rough course. I never rode it, but it's 24 hours riding day and night on one of these.
It's been an honor to have this bike in our presence since we opened the doors, and I'm sad to see that it's going. And I wish we had, the funding to buy this and keep it here. But if you buy this bike and want to leave it on display here, we'd be honored to care for it here, like we have for Gerard since we opened. So thanks, Gerard, for leaving it here this whole time. We appreciate your support, and I hope we someday see one quite this fine again. Guys, look at the paint job on this thing and the fit and finish. It's definitely a time capsule. This is the definition of a cream puff. Adult owned and maintained, 100% bone stock original, unmodified, unmolested, never tracked, never crashed or abused. It spent the last decade on display here in our museum in a climate controlled environment. These windows you see here, these cost me $1,287 each on average. Somewhere like the bigger one, that was probably $2,000, and there's 287 windows in here. Why were they so expensive? They're 100% UV protected museum quality windows. They're wood on the inside and wood on the outside. So there's been no UV degradation of the paint on this motorcycle because it's been stored indoors properly since it was new in here for the last 10 years. Professionally maintained by our Superbike aficionado friend Gerard. Just did a major service, tune-up, and refresh in what we'll call a rotisserie detail. Just been done, needs nothing, ready to ride, display here for another 10 years. Comes with a clear New York State title. If you have to live under a rock to not know that these are extremely rare and highly collectible, especially in this stock original condition, and very valuable. In fact, the only one I found that was comparable was sold 2 years ago at Mecum, and it was a red one, which is worth considerably less than the blue and white one, sold for $22,000 at Mecum. This bike just had the carbs completely disassembled, cleaned, rebuilt, and synchronized perfectly. It's carbureted perfectly, runs good cold, runs good hot, and doesn't backfire, burble, or anything. The fuel tank was flushed and cleaned, and it has 3 gallons of VP94 octane free, VP94 octane non-ethanol free, ethanol-free fuel. The OEM fuel petcock is in perfect working order. It has 4 new spark plugs, new engine oil, and oil filter. The air filter was serviced. It has a brand new sealed Yuasa battery. The battery leads were cleaned, checked and cleaned all the wiring harness block connectors, confirmed proper operation of all handlebar switches, confirmed proper operation of the high-low beams, signal lights, tail light, and brake lights, front and rear switches. So confirmed proper operation of the gauge lights and all indicator lights on bezel. The bike's a 10. New clutch purse, new start, clutch, lever, perch, start, safety switch. Removed, cleaned, and rebuilt the front and rear back brake calipers with new parts and new brake pads. Brand new brake system. Rebuilt front and rear brake master cylinders. Flushed and bled front and back brakes with new DOT5 fluid. Flushed and bled the clutch hydraulics. So all new fluids, all new oils, brand new brakes, and brand new Michelin tires. That right there, fellas, if you bought it to a competent shop or really knew what they were doing, would be a hefty work order. You're probably looking at a 20-hour work order minimum for what was done there. So, and I don't know what the shops in your area get, but most of the shops around here are 175, 200 an hour, maybe more. I'd have to sit, and as far as the hours labor, it could be 25 hours labor doing all that work. So the steering head bearings were checked. The wheel bearings were checked. Checked and cleaned the chain and sprockets, and they're mint. Lubed the throttle cable, cleaned and lubed the ignition, gas tank, helmet, and seat locks. All locks are lubricated, and confirmed proper operation. The original Suzuki key is present and accounted for. No cheap China copy keys here. It was professionally washed, detailed, and hand waxed the entire machine. The factory toolkit is present under the seat, and there are two tiny spots on the bike I want to show you. Fiberglass stress cracks, which they're notorious for having. One is up by the left-hand mirror, and number two is on the very first bolt where the upper and lower fairings bolt together. So it's a barely noticeable. If the tech didn't point it out to me, I probably wouldn't notice it. It's underneath the mirror. It's just a little hairline crack there. That's just part of the design. They would do that. The other crack in the fairing, fiberglass is right here. It's a little stress crack. The bike's got 12,000 highway miles on it. It's not track miles. It's just been used as a recreational piece for Gerard. The brake rotors look mint. The rims look mint. The front fenders in beautiful condition. Original factory fairing, everything, all the gauges, super crisp and clear. A couple tiny little beauty marks on the paint here. Our paint shop could touch those up if you wanted. We just wanted to leave it 100% original, unretouched. I did find, we have a dent magician. There's a tiny ding in the tank right here. I don't know how that got in there, but a competent dent magician should be able to remove that for $100 to $150. So this is exactly the way Gerard kept the bike since he had it. What else can we find? Oh, this original plastic right here. Common thing for it to do. It's a clear coat to keep your boot from rubbing the paint off, and the clear coat kind of turns color after 40 years, and has a couple cracks in it. Same on this side over here. But overall, if you look at the paint job on the tank, it's absolutely freaking gorgeous. The frame aluminum is unmolested, unpolished. If you show them the decal right here that shows the manufacturing date and serial number, it's like it just came out of the box. All the hardware on the bike is beautiful. There's no rust anywhere on the bike. Fairing lowers. Take a look at the fairing lowers here. Really, really, really nice condition. One of the nicest. Actually, this is the nicest original 87 Gsx-R 1100 I've ever seen. We have had some restored ones here. In fact, we're doing a frame off on one right now. Basically the twin to this one, and I'd hate to see what that work order is going to look like, but I'm sure it's going to be north of 100 hours and thousands in parts, so it'll probably be a $15,000 to $20,000 work order on that frame off restoration on that 1100. So, but they're only original ones, and I've been the curator here for the New England Motorcycle Museum. I've judged motorcycle shows, and the common sentiment amongst those in the know is that the originals, unmolested originals, are the ones that bring the highest return on value and will continue to skyrocket in value. If you have any questions about this bike, please give us a call at 860-454-7024, Monday through Friday, 9 to 5. My son, Kenny Jr., will pick up the phone and take care of you. We can ship this anywhere in the country. We also offer financing if you want to finance it, and we do take trades. We only ship enclosed, licensed transport. We've never had any issues with the bikes we've shipped, so we can ship it right to your door anywhere in the country. And if you have any questions, call us. Thanks for watching, and God bless America.